AG.
What's up everybody, AG here, and today I want to talk to you guys about my thoughts on competitive Season 2. Now I know that there's been a lot of other YouTubers that have already touched on the subject of what Season 2 has been like for them and how they've progressed through it and what they think about placement matches, but I'm going to definitely tell you guys about my personal opinion and my own personal climb into Season 2. Now I was watching a video from Stylosa, who runs the channel Unit Lost, and he was talking about his gripes about the way that the system actually works as far as the first 10 placement matches and how it doesn't really configure you into the system a certain way as to where you feel you should be, but it necessarily puts you where they think that you are based on your win-loss. So it's, you could have a 10 win streak in competitive and just be right into diamond. You could be 3500 elo or your skill rating and just immediately be in master tier, and then you will retain that rank until you go and play more and lose it, or you decay from lack of playing for a specific period of time. They discussed about how that's a problem because it's like you have people that have never played rank before, they luck out and get 10 wins in a row, they just happen to do well and they play super high while going 10-0 in placements, but they've never played before, they're new to the game, they don't understand things. Or you have some people that are doing very well, that are very good at the game, and they just happen to not be able to carry their games. They lose all 10 placements and they get placed really low, and they're like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Now, of course, the people that were placed high and shouldn't be there will fall, and the people that will place low and shouldn't be there will climb. But at the same time, you also have people in this quote-unquote elo hell where they are unable to progress because of rolling random teammates that aren't very good, or friends are having off days and they're just losing games consistently and getting tilted, or some other bullshit happens and they're unable to consistently climb. With my personal situation, I went 6-4 in placements, I got placed at 2760, I climbed all the way to 2900, and then I just had a slew of people that I feel placed way too high. I had one Tracer player that got really upset with our Reinhardt because she died 2 times. She died twice in one life, and so she was telling this Reinhardt, oh, it makes sense because you were at 50 last season when the skill rating went from 0 to 100, and that Tracer was like, I was at 70 last season, so I deserve to be here, and the person stayed at 70 and never moved, so I could only assume that they came out of placements placing very high, playing Tracer, and then just didn't play competitive ever again. And then in this season, they placed at 3300, but they dropped all the way down to 2800 from 33, which to me definitely says that maybe they got very lucky in placements and they dropped. Now, of course, that's just me being too personal, I guess. I feel like they probably didn't do too well in their gameplay, and the fact that they were getting upset and being so childish over a game in that sort of manner when people are trying to win the game, that just says to me, it's like, you probably don't necessarily deserve to be as high as where you think you do playing with this kind of style. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, with me, I personally feel that I could do a hell of a lot better than Platinum, and the games are still very, very easy. I'm staying very consistent. I've been playing a lot of Zenyatta, and I think that I'm definitely going to climb if I keep playing the way that I have been. And I still practice in quick play because I sometimes doubt myself, even though I get teammates that aren't necessarily as good as me, or I feel they are good enough to be at the same elo as me. I am still inconsistent with my own gameplay sometimes. Sometimes I'll miss very easy shots that I shouldn't. Sometimes I will miss ultimates in positions where I shouldn't, and things don't go the way that I think they should. However, sometimes I'm very consistent with making sure that everything goes correctly from my team, and I will play just right to make sure things go in the way that I want them to. Now, in ranked, I'm actually more of a Zenyatta player, mostly exclusively a Zenyatta player, but I also like to play Zarya, Ana, Lucio, and a few other heroes, but I just cannot play DPS very well. And I think one of the most stressful things for me to find is good DPS in solo queue. I just cannot seem to find it, but I feel that if you have a good DPS, people are able to do the rest of their roles correctly, things tend to go very smoothly as opposed to being very difficult to win or a struggle all the time. Now, when I play Zenyatta, I feel like I'm very comfortable. When I play Zarya, I feel tense. I feel like she's my second role pick. She's the hero that I need to play in case we need some kind of playmaker, and I feel that my decision making is at least decent enough to call a situation, to be like, okay, we're going to make this as good as we can, we're going to make this work out as best we can, and we're going to do with it what we absolutely can to make things right. And I think that's definitely something that everybody needs to have. You need to have a primary role that you like to play, a secondary role that you feel comfortable with enough to play in case your primary role gets taken or is not needed, and then you need to learn something that you're not used to. That's how I feel a solo queue really is. You need to be able to play the things your team needs. If you need a Winston to deal with their backline, to deal with their Tracer combo, their Tracer Genji Hanzo combo, if they have that kind of combo going on, and then they have no other tanks that will really shut you down, I think a Winston pick would definitely be good there. Or let's say that your team needs a really big playmaker and you have some good ultimates that can combo with a Zarya ultimate. Being able to play Zarya half decently is at least something that you may want to consider. Now, I definitely know that some people may not be good at particular heroes. Some people may be one-trick players, like you may have your one-trick Genji players, you may have your one-trick McCree players, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel that personally, from what I've experienced, if you're able to play a very good flanker, if you're able to be a very good shot with McCree, and know how to outgun specific sorts of heroes in the game, then you're definitely going to be very strong of an overall player. Just once you have that good game sense and you learn more about what needs to happen in the solo queue light or what's going on with your team and having more awareness of what's going on around you, then once you build those things up, then you can be a most devastating player, one of the most devastating players in the entire game. I honestly believe that about McCree and Genji players at this moment. I know when I first started playing Overwatch and when I was just getting into the scene of things, I thought Genji wasn't that good. And here Genji is probably one of the strongest heroes in the game, if you can play him correctly. I also think that Tracer is very highly annoying to play with and very good for solo queue if you're able to carry with her properly. And I definitely feel that McCree is another solo queue superstar. And same thing with Zarya, Roadhog. I think those specific heroes are definitely some solo queue superstars, and if you're not confident with your DPS, you can always play a Zenyatta to help boost that, which is why I definitely have been sticking to Zenyatta as my consistent playable hero that I play for solo queue, because I just don't feel sometimes that people are doing enough DPS, and one of the things to help them do more DPS is play that Zenyatta and also land your own shots to help kill those high value targets, which is another thing. I feel so vulnerable when I play support sometimes in solo queue. Absolutely vulnerable. And this is another personal gripe of mine. I feel like so many times when I'm playing this game and when I'm playing support specifically that people just do not want to help the supports. I even watched a game recently where there were people just running past their supports as a Winston jumps on the backline and kills both supports. And they're like, why weren't the supports healing us? They're so shitty. Why are you so bad supports? You just let Winston jump right next to you, walk past you, and kill 2 people for free, and then get out. Not a single soul even for a second turn to kill that free person that was discorded, that was fighting 2 supports by himself and had no other help whatsoever. He was alone and he just jumped past everybody, but nobody lifted a finger to help their supports. You gotta turn around and help the people that keep you alive. It's just something that you need to do in the game. And if you don't do that, then suffer the consequences of not having any healing and wondering where's the supports. Well, if you had awareness, you would have known that Winston jumped past your happy ass and killed them. Oh no, that's your fault. I mean, supports are there to help keep you alive, and yes, they can land their own shots and try to make things happen on their own, but at the same time, you have to be able to help them and make sure that they're alive long enough to keep you alive longer. And if you understand that that's the support tank or support offensive relationship, then you'll probably seem that, oh, okay, if I keep these people alive, they'll keep me alive. That's generally the trade-off, and sometimes supports just aren't able to heal everybody at the same time because you're just getting run over with ultimates, you're getting run over by this, that, or the other, and you just cannot handle what's going on around you. And it just happens. I get that. And those are the things that I've been dealing with in Season 2. So again, yes, I started out at 2,700. Solo climbed to 2,900, and now I'm back to 2,830 or so, somewhere around that area. I personally feel that playing Zenyatta almost exclusively and then having Zarya as a backup, just playing tank and healer, have definitely been good for me at the moment, and just being able to find people that are good at playing DPS is always a gamble, and I feel that solo queue as a whole is just a huge gamble unless you are with a team, and you can kind of shift the tables, and it doesn't really matter how good or bad maybe 1 or 2 people on your team are doing if you're with a 4-stack. Or even if you're with a 6-stack, then there's no gamble. It's just you know who you're playing with, you know their capabilities and what they're able to do, so you know where your general consensus of the group should be. You know where you guys as a whole should land at. After 10 placement games, like they've said in other videos before, like Stylosa and Force Gaming, they've definitely mentioned that the first 10 placement games are not a clear representation of what your rank is. And I definitely agree with that. If you are still dealing with people that are going through their 10 placement games, haven't been playing that well, and they're starting to fall, that's definitely a clear indication that maybe they're not quite ready to be where they say they are at the moment. If you start off diamond and you start falling off, don't worry about it. You got your diamond, enjoy it, And then if you are at the lower end, maybe you're in silver and you're still climbing like crazy and you're averaging 40 kills a game per map, and then you average 80 kills on average per game, then maybe you need to keep climbing. Maybe you just need to keep going because you're doing very well at the elo that you currently are, and you're not supposed to be there. It's going to happen. You're going to lose games. You're going to win games. And people have been telling me that it's a soft reset based on last season, but I actually feel like it's a hard reset to your elo. Now, people have played Overwatch before. People have played League of Legends before, Dota. In League of Legends, for me personally, you would get a kind of like a soft reset where if you were platinum last season, you go 5-5, you'll probably be like gold 2, gold 1 maybe, something like that. And with me, you know, you go 5-5 in this game, I'd probably think that I'd be around the 65 equivalent. I'm not too sure. I don't think the 60 range is necessarily platinum. I feel like the 60-65 range is actually diamond. I feel like the 65-70 is probably more of your master tier, and then 70 plus would be your grandmaster, essentially the highest of the high people that are probably in the top 500. Those are the kinds of things that I think when I think of elo in the specific game. But all right, guys, I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know in a comment below. Do you feel like you placed too low? Do you feel like you placed too high? Are you still trying to determine how good you are at the game? Are you sure you're where you should be? Just let me know, guys, and I'd love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, peace.